Good morning. My name is Kristiana, and I have a question for you. Have you ever disliked your skin tone and wish you could change it? Well, I'm here today to talk precisely about this issue called colorism. So, fundamentally, colorism is the prejudice within an ethnic group which favors those of a lighter skin tone over those of a darker skin tone. This issue is rooted in racism, but the difference is that it is usually internal, within a single race or ethnic group. The The preference to lighter skin tones dates back to slavery, as slave owners typically exhibited preferential treatment towards slaves with a fairer skin tone. Light-skinned slaves usually worked indoors on domestic tasks, while their darker-skinned counterparts worked outdoor laborious jobs. After slavery, the prejudice against darker-skinned individuals continued on within their own communities. Colorism affects people globally, and it exists across many nationalities, ages, and backgrounds. The beauty standards, especially in Asia, can be directly correlated to an ideology that is centuries old, but it has evolved in modern society with multiple spectrums. Lighter skin tones were once seen as an indicator for class and wealth, but now it can be seen as a characteristic equated to beauty. Generally, in Asia, for example the Philippines, where I'm from, someone with darker skin is often ridiculed and looked down upon, so skin whitening is extremely prevalent and heavily promoted. For some context, someone with fair skin and a lighter skin tone are called mestizas or mestizos, while those with a darker skin tone are called morena or moreno, which essentially means brown. I was only around 11 years old when I started noticing these commercials and advertisements on television about the latest skin whitening products that were advertised by Morena, who rather brightened their skin to look like a mestiza. As a Morena myself, I started worrying about the way I looked, and I became more and more concerned about my skin tone. This grew into one of my insecurities, and this was because I would hardly ever see actors or celebrities with my complexion represented in the media. This was further reinforced among some of my friends and relatives who would tell me to stay out of the sun or else I would get too dark. It also didn't help that I would constantly compare my complexion to those around me, and I was scared of being called dark, especially in my extended family, who all had relatively fair skin. So I caved in, and after months of asking, pleading, and doing a bunch of chores, my mom agreed to buy me a whitening soap. I remember distinctly that it was this whitening papaya bar soap, and I made sure to use every inch of it until it was gone. I told myself that if I would just continue using this soap for the rest of my life, I would reach that so-called perfect skin tone. But unfortunately for my 11-year-old self, my mom stopped buying these products for me, and it devastated me at first. She would try to cheer me up with these cheesy quotes like, beauty is in the eye of the beholder and beauty can be found anywhere, but I was too stubborn to ever listen. Until now, I'm still pretty stubborn, but I'm thankful for this experience, and it was definitely for the best to stop using those products. Now I can say that it was my first and last ever skin whitening product. I was fed this idea that I had to fix my skin color, but this was not the case because there was nothing that needed to be fixed in the first place. It took me a while to finally accept the way I look because of how I was exposed to this harmful concept from a relatively young age. And trust me when I say that I'm still far from being completely comfortable in my own skin, but I've learned to accept myself for who I am. I realized that the skin whitening industry profits off of outdated historical concepts and it preys off of people's insecurities. This industry often does more harm than actual good because some products contain ingredients such as mercury and hydroquinone, which weaken the skin and leave it vulnerable to the sun's ultraviolet rays. Many of these products are banned due to the use of illegal bleaching agents, but some people still continue to buy them. Why, you may ask? Well, they are offered at affordable prices, and they can still be found, especially in unregulated areas. This can be attributed to the widespread endorsement by the beauty and entertainment industry, which continues to push this harmful mindset. According to MarketWatch, by 2027, the skin whitening industry is projected to be worth over 24 billion US dollars. The skin whitening industry is damaging, and it reinforces this idea that we have to change ourselves to ever be able to fit in or succeed in life. Our goal shouldn't be to stigmatize others' features, rather to acknowledge and accept them. We are so much more than the shade of our skin, and our values should not be determined by the features we were born with. This issue has been engraved in our culture to the point where some of us are still stuck with the idea of the inferiority that dark skin brings. We should be celebrating our differences rather than comparing and praising one over the other. One's complexions can differ tremendously from person to person, so it is important to look beneath the surface of our skin to see one's true worth. Young and impressionable minds should be taught to embrace who they are without the constant bombardment of toxic beauty standards, which can only lead to a negative self-image. We must challenge the industry that further perpetuates the stigmatization of individuals with darker skin. One shouldn't have to feel the need to change in order to fit into the standard of beauty prescribed by our society. Rather, we must focus on acceptance and understanding of our differences. Thank you.